I feel this in my heart. Oh, my heart. What? Oh, this is hard, y'all. What do I pick? Luca had no choice but to refuse Iggy's request or to accept Iggy's request. Oh.
Luca had no choice but to accept Iggy's request. With a quiet blink, Luca watched a teardrop sail down into the howling void.
Oh.
As his fingers slowly gave up, he met eyes with Iggy.
Oh, Lord. Good. Oh.
The two silhouettes were swallowed by darkness.
Oh, Lord, my heart. Huh? Heck of a goodbye, Iggy. Wow. Luca, you should really step back. What? Quickly. Wow. Curious. But of course, those fireworks of Iggy must have been just the right amount of energy. We should get out of here before perennial harvest arrives. Not until you tell me what just happened. Your friend's sacrifice just saved this town. For a little while, anyway. How? Tempus liquimium is a peculiar substance. It can change the relationship between matter and time itself. Doing so requires unfathomable energy. In a closed system, that energy can only come from its surroundings. A useful side product of this property being, by adding precisely the correct amount of energy to it, one can create a cryogenic cascade. So the gunk make things cold and the fireworks made the whole freeze over. That's one way of putting it, yes. That's the easy way of putting it, Nat. Jeez. As dumb luck would have it, the fireworks weren't strong enough to generate a runaway reaction. I shudder to think that what would happen. I shudder to think that would have happened in that case.
We have some idea what that would look like.
Yeah. It would take them a good while to safely break through. Break, though, and access the source again. If you know all this stuff, why haven't you been helping, right? I have been. In my way. Each one of us has a role to play. Iggy's role, it turns out, was to buy us precious time. Mine was to observe and wait. Wait for what? You. Me? Why? What's my role?
A fierce twinkle flashed in Nat's eyes.
Luca Van Horn, you are going to save the world. What? And she just walks away.
With a chuckle,
Boss.
Nat turned and walked west. Dumbfounded, Luca followed behind him, trudging through the snow.
And he said I wasn't a superhero.
Every step taking him further away from everyone and everything he knew, and closer to destiny. To be continued in Beacon Pines, Pines Harder.
No!
Revenge served cold. Second time's a charm? Wait, that's it? This ends with a crummy cliffhanger just when it was
right?
good? I was even starting to like Iggy.
Right, me too!
No way. I I refuse to be associated with some never-ending parade of sequels. Let's go back and find something more definitive.
Yeah. So we did that the last time, so no big surprise there. But, that's the only thing that we have left to do. And then we're going to have to find some more charms, guys, because we're running out. So this is the timeline where me, Rolo, and Beck find out about this frozen place by going through one of the tunnels that we found out Nuncreed was behind near the payphone, which wasn't really a payphone, by his office, after decoding, Rolo specifically, decoding the message that was spoken when we went and invaded Grand's basement. Yes, I remembered all of that somehow. So we finally caught up, got here, and Gran is holding the fire above the hole to kind of, I don't know, try and save the town in a way. But I think we find out it doesn't work out that way. What kind of song?
And in the stillness, he began to hum. After the death of his father, Luca had trouble sleeping. Each night, his mother would sit at the foot of his bed and hum a gentle melody. It was the only thing that could calm his mind. The only thing that, however briefly, could make it all seem okay. That melody pervaded every memory Luca had of his mother. Shivering in the raw snow, he began to hum it out loud.
Oh, baby Luca. My baby. Wow, I feel this.
Gran lowered the torch, listening closely.
Ooh, sing it, Luca.
As recognition slowly set in, her heart sank. Those countless nights of consolation, the incomparable loss they shared together.
Oh, Lord.
She let the torch fall to the snow and sizzle out.
I'm in my feelings right now. Ooh. I'm thinking about my uncle. Oh, Jesus.
A few steps toward Luca was all she could bear before dropping to the snow herself.
Oh.
Through a flood of tears, she began to hum along, note for note.
Oh, look at the melody. All right. Harmonizing. See, all this mess, we could have been in a nice church choir. This is so sad. Oh, God.
Luca lifted his head in astonishment. The last time he heard that melody was the last night he saw his mother.
How do you know? I'm so sorry, my little buckaroo. The only people who call me that are my dad and your mother.
Luca blinked through blurry, watery eyes, trying to see more clearly.
Oh.
He could just make out the impression of a familiar face. He peered across the snowscape at the woman on her knees. Something about her was undeniably his mother.
Huh?
Only smaller, older, changed.
Huh? Mom. What? Yo, what is happening? How? That's right, buckaroo. Huh? What? Mom!
Luca sprinted as fast as he could toward his mother. They held each other close, and the cold retreated from their bodies.
Hold on. My mind. My brain. Huh? What? I'm trying to make it make sense for me. I'm trying to make it make sense for me. Hey, Jelly Lynn. The artwork is so nice. The artwork is beautiful in this game. The characters, the setting, the storyline. Yeah, I am confused. We just found out that his grandmother that we thought was a stranger pretended to be his grandmother is actually his mother. Like, I'm lost. We're towards the end of this game. So, sure, some surprises, but I was not seeing this. Whoa. Huh? Eleanor, I thought you were gone. You should have known I never abandoned my own son. Then what happened? I need answers.
Eleanor looked down at Luca, tightening her embrace in an appeal for forgiveness.
How? You're a smart man, Joseph. Thought you've pieced it together by now. You were exposed. Mom, I don't understand any of this. What happened to you? Where did you go? Why did you leave me? I never left you. I was always right here, Luca. Why did you lie to me? Right! You tore me up, Luca, but I did it to keep you safe. I thought that getting answers would help us both move on. The more I discovered, the more I realized the danger we were in. Until perennial harvest was stopped, it was better if everyone thought I was gone. You could have trusted me. Oh, Luca. I feel you. I'm confused. These are bad people, Luca. They won't stop until they get what they want. And they don't care who gets hurt in the process. Then what do we do? We have to stop them.
Joseph slumped into the cold, wet snow.
Everybody just laying in the snow. They can't be stopped. This is too big. I tried beating them at their own game. I'm done fighting fire with fire.
For the first time in a long time, her voice felt like her own again.
No more lies. I see now there's a better way to stop perennial harvest. The cold, hard truth.
Luca gazed down at Nuncreed with pity. He looked small.
Nah, he's still big.
Joseph stared into the snow, as if searching it for answers.
I mean, I'm still searching for answers. Come on, everyone. We've got a party to crash. I feel like my camera is not high enough. I don't understand. You don't understand. He always wins. Who? Let's fight him.
Chapter 9.
I'm chill, y'all. I'm chill.
The devil you know.
See, I knew it. I knew it was him. It's always him.
7 months ago,
We going back in time.
Eleanor Van Horn crept down the maze of sterile hallways under perennial harvest.
Oh, this is the real ending. The other ending wasn't even the real end. This is the real ending. All right.
She stopped in front of the large steel door marked Deep Engineering. No turning back now. She raised a trembling hand. The stolen keycard worked as promised, and the door buzzed open with mechanical efficiency.
It's always the devil, Jelly. It's always.
She was immediately hit with the smell of disinfectant.
All right.
It was some sort of laboratory.
Can I see young Eleanor? I would love to see young Eleanor.
In one corner was a desk covered in papers. Across the room stood a tall metal pod with hoses protruding from its base. She rushed to the desk and began shifting through the piles of papers. They were experiment reports on something called Tempest liquamen.
Liquamen. That's not the first time we heard that chemical name.
There were dozens of them. Every one stamped failed. Eleanor heard the sharp echo of footsteps approaching. She was out of time.
Oh, she was being nosy.
Her eyes scanned the room, eventually landing on the strange pod. Muttering a curse under her breath, she dashed over and dove inside.
A pod. Okay. So wait. Y'all can't leave. I'm slow. You can't leave you gotta bring it full circle for me. So 7 months ago, she found out they were doing these experiments that was causing, health issues among the town. But she was about to get caught, so she jumped into a pod. I'm assuming this pod made her travel to the future or aged her. Is that what we're saying? I need help to understand, And that's what change is all about. Oh, she moving. Grabbing the future by the scruff of the neck and making things happen. Change is a choice. And I'm tickled pink that we will all be making that choice together. How great is that? The man's a liar. I love it. Excuse me. I will not. This town has been a dangerous secret, and perennial harvest only exists to keep it hidden. Nonsense. They picked up the whole dang town and moved it right under our noses. You aren't making any sense, dear.
Mr. Kerr addressed the crowd with a sarcastic tone.
Imagine such a thing. It's absurd and just plain impossible. They promised me they could fix the foul harvest. They told us we would clean this place up. We had to just leave town for a few days. But while they had us evacuated... Miss Hartford, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to ask you to... You're afraid of a lot of things, aren't you? Okay, Mom. You sniveling little worm. This is growing tiresome. A little help, please. Don't you all see? This festival is a sham. An excuse to have the whole town gather in one place. They're planning something awful. I don't know what, but these people are wicked. Don't listen to her. She has absolutely no proof. I am the proof. I'm Eleanor Van Horn.
Whispers filtered through the crowd.
Well, aren't you just as sneaky as the Dickens? We all knew Valentine's fertilizer was too good to be true. And now this whole town is paying the price. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so sorry about this disruption. My associates will take this obviously disturbed woman somewhere comfortable so that she can get the help she needs. She's not the one who's... Oh, sorry, wrong voice. She's not the one who's disturbed. You two-timing clown. Get him, Mr. Nuncreed. You all know there's something wrong with this town. It was just easier to look the other way. The truth is... What's little Solomon the dog doing? That's quite enough, Mr. Nuncreed.
Torment dragged on Joseph Nuncreed's face.
Huh? Yes, sir. Sir? Huh? He's a child. Take them away. No, I want them to see this. What's happening? Ah, the ever-tempestuous Eleanor Van Horn. You've been quite the thorn in my side, like a weed that's burrowed and where it doesn't belong. I must confess you look dreadful.
He paused for a moment, plucking a piece of fuzz from his sweater and discarding it to the ground.
Consider yourself in rare company. You managed to pull one over on me. Won't happen again. I knew you had some sort of plan to disrupt our little party. But at last, I expected something a bit more impressive than incoherent rambling. No matter. Your failures are yours to bear. Mr. Kerr. Yes, sir. It's a shame it was cut short, but thank you for your rousing oratory. I'll take it from here. Yes, sir. Of course, sir. You have done quality work for me, William. You can look forward to the recompense we agreed upon.
Kerr gave a bow of deference.
Founder, you are most gracious.
Gasps
Founder?
rippled through the crowd.
Huh? Wait. Huh? Thankfully, we can dispense with the formalities from here on out.
Solomon pulled a glass vial from his pocket. In one smooth motion, he downed its contents. A triumphant smile grew across Solomon's lips.
You can call me Sharper Valentine.
His body and face began to contort and expand as he disappeared into a belching green mist.
Huh? Sir!
A hushed horror gripped the crowd.
Y'all?
This is a story about change.
His whole form? What? No. So you didn't see this coming. Good.
Sharper examined his new hands.
Wow. Well, this is quite the improvement. Everything looks so much smaller now. Eleanor was right about one thing. This festival was a ruse. I wanted you all to witness my glorious return with your own eyes. Why does everyone look so downtrodden? This is a celebration, people. Maybe it would help if we set the mood. Mr. Kerr, be a dear and reveal the sign. Okay. Ha! Wonderful.
Sharper choked out a crude squawk of a laugh.
I don't know how that would sound to replicate it.
Frustrated grumbles sprinkled through the crowd.
Sharper, you malicious jerk. Ooh, another charm. I'm glad you're back so I can tell it to your face. You destroyed this town. You ain't gonna let you get away with it again. Sorry, but this is not the time for audience participation. Some assistance, Mr. Kerr?
William Kerr gave a subtle nod to the clipboards.
You coward! Does anyone else have something to contribute? Nah, I ain't saying nothing. I'm good.
A helpless quiet settled over the crowd.
I thought so. Did you all truly believe you could be free of me? A town of complete and utter fools? You people should be celebrating my return. You're clearly lost without me. And that leads me nicely to my children. Daddy. Not that phrase and that face. Not that phrase and that face. I gave you both the greatest gift a parent can give. The opportunity to prove yourself in my absence. Squandered. To say I'm disappointed would be an understatement. But, silence, Augustus. An adult is speaking. I don't know which is worse, a son who was completely hopeless, or a daughter with such potential who inevitably lets me down. Eris, you failed me with admirable consistency. Thankfully, I was counting on it this whole time. Oh wow, that's terrible. Father, have you been wasting time, my dear? What have you accomplished? I was focused on cementing our legacy. Legacy. Who needs a legacy when you can just live forever? But what about... It's alright, kiddo. I'm afraid you suffer from a complete lack of imagination. There's just no helping it. Now then, where is Joseph? You didn't take the opportunity to slip off, did you? Ah, there he is. Everyone should give him a hand. None of this would have been possible without Joseph. I think you've said enough. Nonsense! The people deserve to know how helpful and loyal you've been. I only did what I did because you have left me no choice. You've always had a choice, Joseph. You were simply too weak to take it. No matter. Cheer up. You are about to be rich beyond your wildest dreams. You should follow Mr. Kerr's example. When I found him, he was in a sore state than any of you. An aging actor, desperate to recapture his youth. He played his part, and soon he'll be able to play the leading man again. Oh, forever, in fact, if he remains loyal. Y'all are some traitors! Joseph! You were supposed to be for the town, but you was really for the team. That's wrong. That goes for all of you. Well, those who haven't already frittered away my goodwill. Beacon Pines is mine again, and I'm willing to share its spoils in exchange for absolute loyalty. Are you saying William Kerr was never in charge of Perennial Harvest? Ha! You think that puffed up blather skit could have accomplished all of this? Dawn, I suppose it's time for your big exclusive.
Sharper addressed the crowd with indignant pride.
I can tell.
He'd planned this moment for so long that now, at the deed's fruition, it almost felt frivolous.
You see, I needed a figurehead to hold things down while I orchestrated my return. Someone to misdirect, lie, and bleak this town for a spell. So I invented, what? William Kerr, huh? Take a bow. You've earned it.
Mr. Kerr flourished a preposterously elaborate bow.
That was very slow and unnecessary. Patrick C. Mataquit. I don't know how to say that. Discipline extraordinaire, at your service. Founder, I just want to thank you again for this opportunity. It truly was a role of a lifetime. He got an actor to do it? Well, I mean, he acted well. I can't even be mad at it now. Wait, so this Bill Kerr was a Patrick C. the whole time? Now that your secret is out in the open, what's to stop this town from rising up against you? Oh, that's the delicious part. Fear. Thanks to our clipboards, I know what each and every person in this town fears most. And I will make those fears manifest for anyone who steps out of line. The choice is simple. I'm not afraid of you. Ha, the young hero. I've kept a keen eye on you, boy. You and your friends made a habit of disrupting my plans. What a pity. If things would have gone a bit differently, you might have had your moment of triumph. But that's fate for you. You can't do this. Oh, but I can. I have won. Never underestimate what a great man can do, given time. And now, time is my plaything. Perhaps the most expensive thing I've ever bought. But well worth it. Ha!
Sharper coughed up one final laugh and
Ha!
cracked his knuckles.
Enough chit-chat. Let's get to work, shall we? That's wild.
And so, Sharper set about remaking the town in his own image. The fertilizer factory soon reopened for business. Sales rose steadily as more and more farmers across the countryside began to swear by its miraculous properties. Beacon Pines became famous, a secretive town that, for the right price, shared its gifts with all. Gifts that became more and more necessary in a world where winters grew longer and longer. The end.
So they also had that winter wonderland happening in the back, so people would have to depend on the fertilizer more because they had to preserve their crops during that time, which put money in the bank. Ah, that's crazy. He was in the future. Talk about a businessman. I don't like him and he is a villain, but you saw into the future. I can't even see what next. I can't even see what I'm gonna eat for dinner today.
This is wrong, but things are... You can feel it, right?
I feel something. I don't know if it's anger, pain, hurt, sadness. I feel something.
We can't let Sharper win. He might just be the key to this whole thing.
I get what we gonna do, sweetheart.
Let's see.